Welcome to the Legal Leaders Podcast with Ollie Rock. David Barron has been a successful trial attorney for more than 40 years. His prestigious accomplishments include serving as Judge Pro Tempore of the Riverside County Superior Court, holding a former record for the largest employment-related verdict at $62 million, and helping mediate over 300 individual cases. He's currently a partner at the firm he helped found in 1995 called SBEMP, which specialized in a wide variety of legal services in Southern California, including employment law, business law, and real estate land use zoning. His career journey is unique and fascinating and really showcases his unwavering belief in the power of hard work. Hope you enjoy the episode. David Barron, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So good to have you on. We have a lot to cover today. You've kind of done it all. Trial lawyer for over 30 years, starting your own firm, and so many extracurriculars like serving as the chair of the Palm Springs International Film Festival. There's just so much to cover, and your career is so expansive. But before we get going, I'd love to start with a quick icebreaker, Dave. So let's take it back. If you could do any other career and, money was no object, what would you do and why?
Probably, I think I'd probably have gone into just business. I love business, and as a sideline, I got into a lot of businesses post-legal career. So I think probably a business career, opening up businesses and operating them.
Nice. Is there any particular type of thing? Is it like real estate or construction?
Well, I did own with a partner a chain of Rolex and jewelry stores, both in Hawaii and California. That was a blast. I still involved in a lot of real estate ventures. I have a company that we build and operate self-storage facilities, so I do that in my spare time now, and I've done that for over 20-something years, and various other business enterprises. I own a newspaper, an event company, that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of all over the map.
You're already doing all the business things.
I am. So I think if I had it to do over again, I probably would have gone into business as opposed to law. But I had a great time in the law field. It's just changed over the decades. It's a much more combative environment now. When I started out, it was incredibly professional, collegial. We could do hand-to-hand combat in court and go out with opposing counsel for dinner and chuckle about who got the best of who that day.
I see. Times have really changed.
They have.
Gotcha. Amazing. Well, I would like to take it back. I want to cover sort of your career up until from when you graduated law school up until now, obviously running your own firm as one of the most notable firms in Palm Springs, if not in California. So I'd love to take it back to when you attended Berkeley for undergrad, and then you went to UC Hastings, which is now UCSF Law School. So
right.
I want to know, did you know you wanted to be a lawyer when you were attending Berkeley, and what was the trigger that made you want to pursue getting a JD?
Well, I really realized I wanted to be a lawyer back in high school. It was Vietnam War era. I was at a very young age an anti-war activist. We had an underground newspaper in my high school. We got in trouble for using the school's mimeograph machines. We had mimeograph machines back then in the 70s. And I got slammed pretty hard and involved with the legal system. And that was the eye-opener that, if you wanted to affect change in the society, you needed the ticket. You needed the law degree to access the courts. So that's when I made up my mind to become a lawyer. And my tenure at Berkeley was just to accomplish that, to get my degree. And I had a hell of a great time at Berkeley. It was fun. It was exciting. It was post-60s into the 70s, but a lot going on. I was there when Patty Hearst got kidnapped. I was about 2 blocks away. So that was wild. And I was doing a journalism stint at the time at Berkeley, so I followed that case. So and my education at Berkeley was outstanding and wouldn't change that for anything.
Amazing. So you knew you wanted to be a lawyer from high school. Then you attended UC Hastings. What was your law school journey like?
It was when I was in law school, I decided, my goal was to take the bar exam once. So I really and I was putting myself through school. So I worked a lot. I actually worked at the law library. They were amazed when I asked for the late shift because nobody wanted it. But what I realized is I could get paid for studying because there was very few people in there checking out books 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I just really kind of hit the books. I mean, I had a study group. We had friends. In fact, I had a couple of buddies here from Hastings this week that were visiting from San Francisco and Palm Springs. But I just pretty much studied, I mean, especially first year, obviously, and then kind of did my own thing in San Francisco and Marin County.
Amazing. So
but I was able to become a public defender as part of a litigation and advocacy class. So I actually was able to have clients at the Presidio. That was my area. So I handled very, misdemeanors, petty theft, and that kind of thing. And I did get my first trial in federal court based upon a chef stealing 2 pounds of butter and a turkey at Thanksgiving.
Amazing. Man, crime has really changed in San Francisco since you were practicing there, right?
I would say so.
It's insane. So that was in the mid to late 80s, right? That was when, right after you graduated from Hastings, public defender, and then you transitioned to Riverside County, right?
Yes, I did.
So what brought you to Los Angeles?
Well, it was actually Palm Springs. My dad unfortunately had a heart attack. I just graduated and was interviewing with all the big firms in San Francisco. I had a couple of good offers, and the heart attack happened, so I went down to Palm Springs to help out with the family. I had clerked for Best and Krieger, which was out of Riverside. They're a pretty large statewide, actually national firm now, and they had made me an offer. I had a good experience there. They promised me that I would have at least 10 trials in my first year. And in San Francisco, I think you'd have to wait 4, 5, 6, 7 years plus before you really get a chance to try a case. So I went down there, and I had more trials. And the guy walked in the first day with a stack over his head. Said, "Here you go. First trial's tomorrow." Literally, after I passed the bar and got my ticket, I had a trial the next day.
Oh my gosh!
It's a small and lawful detainer action, but got me into court.
How did you handle that? Were you overwhelmed?
Yeah, I was scared. I was scared shitless. But I didn't know what I was doing. But it was trial by fire, and I read the books, all night, and prepared my examinations. It went pretty smoothly. And what was great and so unusual is in that first year, by the end of the first year, I had so many trials. I knew all the judges. It was a very small courthouse. Knew all the lawyers. So it felt like it was very comfortable, easy. And then you got a reputation pretty early on for being a real trial attorney.
Wow, that's amazing. And now you have over 30 years of experience as a trial lawyer. I'm curious
40
about
now.
40 years.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your perspective on the trial by fire thing, because a lot of folks become associates these days, and a lot of folks say it's extremely difficult. You're drinking from a fire hose. Do you think that's sort of the right way to go about it?
I think there's different approaches. I think it's a little bit different now. Now I think the best way to get trial experience is probably going to work for the DA or the public defender's office, and you get a lot of great trial experience. You learn evidence really well. Very difficult in the civil arena now to get a lot of trial experiences. 98% of the cases settle. If you can second chair a few trials, that's awesome. But really tough these days to get trial experience. So, at our firm, we do the trial by fire. We don't have a large firm, and so we give some of the smaller cases to the young lawyers and obviously assist them, answer any questions, help them theme a case, help them figure out the proper approach for examinations, opening statements, etc. And then there's always some good seminars you can send people to, right? There's some good trial advocacy seminars. There's some bad ones, but there's some good ones.
I love it. So before we talk about you starting your own firm, I do want to talk about one of the largest employment-related verdicts you had, and this was in 1988 for $62.5 million. So was this while you're at that firm in Riverside County?
Actually, that was actually when I left Best and Krieger and we started Slovak and Barron. That case walked in the door about 4 months after we were open. It was a contingency case. We didn't know if we had enough money to fund it because it was a very large case. But it took about 4.5 years. It was in a federal court to get to trial. I was up against some fairly big-time LA lawyers. The one lawyer had not ever lost a case, so it was a little bit intimidating. But we developed our case and our strategy, and we did really, really well. In fact, the jury wanted to give us $200 million in punitive damages, but Judge Timlin, in a pretrial motion, got rid of the punitive damage award allegations because he felt that it wasn't a punitive damage case. However, after the verdict and after he heard all the evidence, he acknowledged from the bench that he probably missed that one. And his comment was, I probably missed that ruling. He goes, but you did okay. So he wasn't sorry for me.
I love it. I mean, nonetheless, still, an extremely massive verdict, and 6 years after you graduated law school, right?
Yeah, it was, by the time I tried it, and was it 98? So that was probably, that was 16 years out. And I was a pretty experienced trial lawyer at that point. Yeah. Gotcha. We had a lot of celebrities in that case. Gene Autry, Al Unser, a lot of people with hearing aids in that case. So they did Ronald Reagan. He wasn't a witness, but people like that were called to the witness stand in that case. It was a fun case.
Amazing. So let's talk about you starting your own firm. What propelled you to want to start your own firm? How did that whole thing start?
Well, my mentor was Tom Slovak, and Tom is probably the finest trial attorney I've ever seen. And he taught me a lot. I developed my own style, but I worked under Tom while at Best and Krieger. And Best and Krieger was and is primarily a large municipal law firm. So they represent cities, water districts, a lot of governmental agencies. Tom and I were private lawyers, so we were always getting conflicted. A case would come in, whether it was against a county sheriff or a city, and we were told we can't take the case. So Tom said, look, I've got to make a living and I can't be burdened. He says, let's go. So I had an offer to be head of the litigation department at Best and Krieger. It was a hard decision, but we made the jump, and the two of us started out. After the first year, we had 6 lawyers, but that first year, I don't think I went home until, first 3 months, I think we worked till about 12:30, 1:30 every night because we were just scared to death of failure. I remember leaving one night about 11, going to 11, and I was walking by Slovak's office. He goes, where are you going? I said, I'm beat. I got to get some sleep. And he goes, are you kidding me? It's only 11. He was giving me a hard time. So,
oh my gosh.
But it was a great experience, and we grew that firm, and we took a lot of contingency fee cases on complex civil litigation. Tom did some antitrust. We had some good cases and very, very good results.
Amazing. And Tom is still with you guys at SBEMP, right?
Yeah, Tom is of counsel. He really is the head of the ethics department at the firm and handles all those kinds of issues. And he still practices a bit as well.
Gotcha. Looking back on that time, Dave, when you're grinding until the late hours of the morning, was it all worth it?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, we built a really good firm. Our philosophy was just do the best legal work possible. We would take on all the big firms, LA, Orange County, San Diego, and our mantra was just do top-notch quality work and the business will follow, and that worked out well for us. So, no, I have no regrets. It was an awesome time. Obviously easier when I was younger to do it and putting in the hours, and it was pretty exciting, actually.
Nice. I love your message about believing in the value of hard work. It really comes through. And if you could just give one piece of advice to folks that want to start their own firm, what would it be?
Well, I think that you're just absolutely honest with your clients, do the best legal work you can do, and understand that someone on the other side is paying the bills you send out. So I think it's a good idea to be sensitive about the value of your legal work and to look at those bills and look at it that way. But if you just do really outstanding legal work, you're going to get a lot of business. Word gets out. It just does. And
Nice.
the rest will be history.
Love it. And on the flip side, let's say you're an early associate wanting to join a firm. What are some good ways to sort of vet or see if this is the right fit?
Well, obviously, summer intern programs are a great way to see if you like the firm. Now with all the various social media and online access, you can do a lot of research in advance about law firms and what they're like there. But I think as a really young lawyer, especially if you're still in law school, go to the smaller firms or medium-sized firms to get the better experience, better quality work, more contact with the partners, and get a feel for what kind of law you want to practice. You can navigate from business to litigation to securities to real estate to trust and estates and figure out what gets you going.
Love it. Dave, so you started the firm in 95. You had 6 people with you. Is that correct, including Tom?
At that time, we already had 6, and then we brought in Mark Empey and Jason Dabereiner, and so that made 8 at that time, and then we quickly grew to 20 plus.
Amazing. Okay, so you grew to 20 people, and you started in 1995? How was the practice different pre-2000, before I guess the .com boom? How did the work differ?
Well, I think the work stayed basically the same. I think from our practice, it became more sophisticated. In the Palm Springs area, we had a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs living there part-time, so we got a lot of very interesting work that you wouldn't normally get in a relatively small town. I think the technology changed the practice a ton. This was, obviously before Lexis and Westlaw. I mean, where you literally had the books spread across the library, doing your research and your shepherdizing. With the advent, of the computer, I remember having DOS, and I remember having the punch cards, and all that stuff was crazy. But as that developed, the fax machine became a major thing, right? So I'm I sound like an old person talking about the advent of the fax machine. But these technological changes really obviously helped the practice, made everything easier, and now it's just, you can do this, work from anywhere, right?
Yeah, I think it speaks to your experience that you've seen this incredible shift in the legal field. And now, you've been established in Palm Springs for quite some time now. Is most of your business coming from word of mouth, or do you still do advertising?
We don't advertise at all, never have. So
Wow.
Our work is statewide. We do all kinds of different cases statewide and somewhat nationally. One of the partners of the firm is a fairly well-known antitrust, mergers and acquisitions attorney, and he does work M&A all over the country. $1 billion of deals or more. I don't know what he does annually, but several hundred million. We have offices in New York. We have offices in San Diego, Orange County.
Wow.
So we have a statewide practice.
Amazing. And I'm just looking at your website. You guys will cover, it looks like 15 plus different types of fields, from appeals to divorce, family law, IP, everything. Is there a practice area you specialize in, or is it kind of you guys do everything?
Well, I think, now in today's world, every attorney's pretty much got to focus on one particular area and become an expert in it. So we have lawyers and partners that are experts in trust and estates and M&A, in litigation and real estate and business formation, you name it. So, when I started out, you had to do a little bit of everything. Now that it's not how the world works, and you've got to know your area and know it really, really well. So
Gotcha.
yeah, we have lawyers that specialize in those areas, and that's all they do.
Got it. And I want to pivot to you a little bit, Dave. So a lot of the information about you online talks about your extensive experience in mediation. So, I want to understand, how does one become an expert in resolving disputes and mediation? Does it just come with experience, or is there any kind of thing people should
No,
learn?
I think it does. I did take, I did go to, I first I became a judge, a volunteer judge of the courthouse, and I volunteered for the settlement program, and I got a reputation as someone that could settle cases. So I think I have the record in the courthouse in Indio for settling a case. I think I settled it in less than 15 minutes. Now,
Wow.
maybe that case was predisposed to that, but the bottom line was I really enjoyed it. I'm good at it. I connect with people and can find, and I do this professionally now. I mediate cases and can find the weaknesses in both parties' cases, and I get into it. So I get into the meat and bones of it. I also took and got a certificate from what was that school in Los Angeles? Huh?
Pepperdine?
Yes, exactly. Got a from that institute. But I've been doing mediations now for a long, long time. I've got 2 scheduled next month, and I think I enjoy that now more than anything else. I feel when I get a case settled, I've accomplished something. And I like
love
to
it.
think out of the box, and I like to get into the cases and the nuts and bolts of it, and typically I try to find on each side the weaknesses so I can get that feeling the opposing counsel's stomach's like, oh yeah, that's they know what their weaknesses are. So, but it's a fun thing to do, and I really enjoy it.
Nice. Yeah. And I can see your ability to connect with people. I mean, you're obviously extremely personable. And so just to harp on that point, I want to double click on that. You're saying that experience matters. So does education. Do you believe in reading books like Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss? Or
Yeah, I've read it. It's funny. I love reading. I'm an avid reader. I used to run a bookstore, but I think for a mediator, one, you've got to have common sense. You got to have people skills, and the experience help because you have a case. You can say, "Look, I've tried this case on both sides 5, 10 different times. Let me show you the movie. Let me tell you what's going to happen here." And that's invaluable, right? You've got to have the ability to convey to the litigants that you know what you're doing, you've got the experience, you've been there, and that they can relate to that and go, okay. If you're just guessing, you haven't done it, you haven't tried a bunch of cases, it's very difficult to get to the finish line in some of these cases.
Gotcha.
And you have to have the trial lawyers, the litigants, that they have to have some respect for you, understand that typically people hire retired judges, right, because of that wealth of experience and credibility. So a little bit harder when you're in private practice to get that credibility.
Understood. And I guess just to harp on your experience, almost 40 years or over 40 years of experience as a trial lawyer, what kind of advice would you give to folks that are first starting out as trial lawyer, especially in this new landscape where it almost never goes to trial?
Well, first thing is know the evidence code. Know the evidence code. I try cases against a lot of people, and they just don't know the code, and they can't get out of their own way. I mean, they can't get their case in. So, extremely important to know it, and you have to know it quick. I mean, these objections come, they're rapid fire, and you got to have an answer. So, you can go to the courthouse and watch trials. You can learn a lot just going in the gallery and watch a couple of good trial lawyers go at it. And you'll see the motions, you'll see how they introduce evidence, you'll see the objections on hearsay or whatever, and you'll learn. So I think that's a good way to do it. And since you don't get a lot of actual trial experience, go down to the courthouse, go check out a trial, do it weekly. That's a good way to learn.
Got it. That's awesome, Dave. Thanks for that advice. I do want to pivot to some of your extracurriculars because it is extremely impressive what you've done from, being vice chair on Palm Springs International Film Festival to being on different boards for, schools to CASA to the Equality California. First of all, what motivated you to sort of participate in all of these things outside of your legal practice?
Well, I think it's important, and it's always been our philosophy, both the best in career and then our firm, to give back to the community. So, we've always made it a point to encourage our folks to get involved with whatever it is that gets them interested and gets them fired up. Um, so that was the reason for it. I was also involved in the community, so I'd be asked to do certain things, and I was happy to do it, happy to get involved.
Is there anything that I just named off, whether it's your newspaper or the International Film Festival, anything you're super passionate about that you particularly want to talk about?
Well, I'm still on the board of the film festival. I'm the vice chairman and treasurer of the film festival. That's grown to be one of the top 2 or 3 film festivals in the entire country. It's probably a signature event for Palm Springs, a lot of fun. So I still enjoy doing that. But I guess of all of them, CASA was really important to me, and that is court-appointed special advocates. This is the only arena in court where a non-lawyer gets to represent somebody and speak on behalf of, this case, a child who is being either abused or neglected. So that was, it's under the cover charity. It doesn't have the big galas, the big cocktail parties, just has huge needs. Always need more CASA volunteers and more people willing to take their time and help out a kid who is in an environment less than optimal. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, and how long have you been a board member?
I got out of CASA probably about 15 years ago. I still donate to the cause, and I've always done child-related things. I'm a very strong advocate of charter schools. I actually wrote a charter and started a charter school in the desert. It over the years became one of the highest testing schools that score in the state. We had, 2/3 of our enrollment were kids English as a second language, and they excelled. So I think the teaching methodology we employed, which was a team approach teaching, worked well. And I'm all about educating people. I figure that education is the vehicle through which people can have a very fruitful life and do whatever they want to do. So I'm doing some work right now trying to get a campus for the junior college in Palm Springs, which looks like that's going to be happening. So education has always been a part of what I like to do.
I love it. And are you referring to the Cielo Vista Charter School?
Yes, I am. Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Incredible success story. I don't know what the wait list is now, but they have a lottery system. Wow. It's just, it's a great school. We teach 7 pillars. Aside from education, we teach integrity, credibility, respect, honesty, all these kinds of things. And we get the parents involved. The parents have to sign a contract too. This carries over into the household. So it works for the entire family. Wow. And we've had incredible success.
Love it. Yeah, really making changes through education. I just love hearing about your passion for public interest, Dave. I do want to pivot to the newspaper because I know that's also an area you're really passionate about. I mean, you were writing in one of the Palm Springs newspaper for 12 years, an article called The Way I See It. And then you also started your own paper. So yeah, go ahead. I'd love to ask you about
it. It's funny. In junior high and high school, we had an underground newspaper, mostly complaining about the United States involvement in Vietnam. But I did develop a love for newspapers. One of my best friend's father had 2 newspapers up in Lake Arrowhead. And when I went up there during the summers, I would actually work at the paper. We'd go out and take pictures of a car crash, and I learned how to set type. In the old days, you set type. So I learned how to do that. So I always had a kind of an affinity for that. Did journalism at Berkeley as an undergraduate, and the column just came about it through a dinner party. We were at a jazz concert, and a group of 20 went to a dinner party, and got on a political discussion, and I was mouthing off about, I don't even remember what. But this guy came up to me afterwards. He turned out to be the publisher of the Desert Sun newspaper. His name is Bob Dickey. Bob ultimately became the CEO and chairman of the entire Gannett organization back in D.C. He was publisher of USA Today and for a while at the Arizona Republic, but he became the president of the whole thing. Anyway, he said, "Hey, can you write that, what you were saying?" And I said, "Write it? Why would I want to write it?" And he goes, I'm a publisher, and I was looking for a column, and that's it. Can you write that stuff? I said, I can. And I go, what's the catch? He goes, no catch. He goes, you just do that stuff. And so came up with, I said, so I can write about anything I want. He goes, anything you want. He goes, I'm going to be your editor. So, we got to run through legal. But we came up with the name The Way I See It. And it was primarily a political column, but I could write about whatever I want to write about. And that became quite successful and controversial, and got a lot of letters to the editor, both positive and negative, is what you want to do. And so that was fun for 12 or 13 years. When the reason I stopped is they wanted me to. Became the time when blogs became in, and they wanted me to blog every day. And it's like I didn't have the time for that, so that's why I stopped doing that for a while.
Nice. And did you have to hire security to protect you at any point?
No. But I did some investigative pieces there, and it was just a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Amazing. And this was before or after you bought your own paper?
This was before I opened my own newspaper. And actually, Bob and we became very close friends. And Bob ended up retiring to Bend, Oregon, and he became friends with the publisher there of the local paper. And one thing led to the other, and we became part owners in it.
Amazing. Man, Dave, your story is so inspiring. It's just everything that comes through to me is the value of hard work and giving back.
Yep.
Do you feel like those are like the two biggest themes you live by?
Yeah, I mean, all of my kids, I try to instill a work ethic in them because I think it gives you not only self-worth, but I think it opens up the whole realm of real fruitful experience and human interaction, which gives sustenance and meaning to your life. So, firm believer in that, and I think it builds character, leads to a lot of great relationships and experiences.
Amazing, Dave. Really enjoyed hearing about sort of your career path. Is there anything I missed that you want to cover about your career?
Not really. I think that it's been great. I'm still involved now. I just do mostly mediations. The firm is growing, and it's great to see the younger people taking over and expanding it. And I'm just having a heck of a time running my other businesses and doing my charity stuff and just enjoying life every day.
Amazing. And just for those who don't know, I want to give one final shout out to your firm, SBEMP, Dave. Is there anything you want to say about your firm before we end?
Well, I think, the firm's awesome. Great group of people, hardworking people, very diverse group of lawyers from every background, ethnicity. We speak, I don't know how many different languages, but a lot. And I think we have probably more women partners than I think any other firm, and percentage-wise in Riverside County. But it's just a great firm, great place to be, and I've enjoyed it. And I enjoy now watching it grow a little bit from afar.
Nice. Awesome, Dave. Well, I really enjoyed the interview today. Thank you so much, and hope to be in touch.
Hey, I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.